Alvarez trying to put the game away. He does! Down goes the defender. Soloniak fires! Scores!
Hello and welcome on in. Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank, the official bank of your Chicago Fire. As we are each and every week, we are live at the Heineken Pub 97 here at the Private Bank Fire Pitch. Fred Hubner, Frank Lopez, Paul Tenorio will be joined a little bit later on by Chicago Fire assistant coach Eric Gehrig. We'll talk to him about a lot of things, as we'll talk here in the first segment. Chicago Fire continuing their road trip, guys, and they had numerous opportunities, but they come away with another loss 2-1.
Fred, listen, and Paul, I think for me watching a game, I felt that it was a very good team performance. I think tactically the team was a very good game plan. They were very organized. And again, I think it was a game where they created enough opportunities. And we always talk about on the road, just putting those away. You know, I think the game plan was there. They got a lot of chances through transition. We're going to look at later. And then again, I think just a couple moments, some mental errors and mistakes which gave the Red Bulls an opportunity to get in the game.
Well, Frank, you know this league and how important road games are. And when you go to a tough place to play, like New York has been, I think it's 19 straight now that they're undefeated at home, you have to finish your chances because you might only get one or two. And I think it's really a positive to look at that game if you're the Fire and look at how many chances they generated on the road in New York against a very good team. That's a positive. The negative is you didn't punish them for giving you those chances. You didn't put it away. But I don't look at that game if I'm the Fire and say I got outplayed or it was a totally negative result, because it was a performance where I thought they went on the road and played confidently in a very difficult place to do that, and they had the chances to win the game. Actually, we saw that yesterday, Orlando City and Toronto. They lost 2-1 in Toronto, but I actually thought it was a sign that Orlando City is a legitimate contender in the East because of the way they played and the chances they had. They just didn't finish. Similar feeling after that Fire game. You're disappointed you don't get a point out of it, but I thought the result and I thought the performance was something that you can build off of for sure.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the highlights from the contest last Saturday in New York. The Chicago Fire, Dax McCarty, returning to New York, playing against his former team, the Red Bulls. And there he is before the game, giving the speech. And what better person to give a speech before the contest in New York? Action got underway. Chicago Fire with a chance early. Nikolic, who numerous times he had chances. We'll talk about him throughout the course of the game. Here you see Lucho, and it looks like a handball here, not called, second week in a row, and nothing comes out of it. But one of these days, instant replay will be here in Major League Soccer. Here's the first goal of the game. Nice ball across the middle. Bradley Wright Phillips puts it in, rather easy for a guy that scores tons of goals. Here you see in the replay, little give and go. Royer gets it back, and Bradley Phillips right where he always is, in front of the net. Here's Dax McCarty. McCarty, nice move, looks, and finds Nikolic, puts it in the net. The Chicago Fire tie the score at 1. Real nice play from McCarty. We'll break it down a little bit more later on, but he looks, gets his head up. Nice move there, leaves the two defenders in the lurch, and there's Nico putting it in. We're tied at 1.
He's so good in the box.
Yeah.
Not what you normally see from Dax, but well done.
Here's Nico again. Another opportunity. Saved by Robles, and he'll do that on you. One of the better keepers in Major League Soccer. Ball goes out wide. Lawrence puts it in. A 2-1 lead, and that's where it's going to end.
Yeah, we'll take a look at both of these goals against later on in the show, but a couple things that went wrong there.
Dax McCarty, who was signing autographs and giving credit to all of the fans who came on out to see him and the New York Red Bulls. Red Bulls had a 3-game homestand, and they win all 3 of their games. They get 9 points at home, and that's what you want to do. We talked about it. In this league, you have to win. You have to get points on your home games and try to do better on the road. The Fire now, the 2-game road trip, so far have not gotten a point as they head to L.A.
It's not easy to win on the road in MLS. I mean, you take care of things at home because, look, on Wednesday, just yesterday, Red Bulls go to Kansas City and they lose 2-0. That's why it's so important to get points at home. Like you said, 3 wins in a row at home give a little bit of a cushion, puts them in a decent place in the East. But yeah, I mean, at this point now, you look at this road trip. If you're the Fire, you're going to L.A. That's a place that you want to get 3 points if you can?
I think it's a great opportunity because you're playing a team. I mean, out of the 5 games that they've had at home, they beat Montreal. They got 3 points against Montreal, then they tied Philly. So they're not playing great, and I think it's a great opportunity. You know, I'm just basing it from the last game because, you know, the Fire going on the road in New York and having a performance that they did, which for me, they deserve to walk away with at least a point because it's not just the chances they created. I think the tactical plan going into the game, I think the team was very disciplined. You know, they had a very good start to the game, which is a key, I think, when you're on the road, especially against that team. I think they were very compact. They forced play wide, and I think with the ball, they were good. They moved the ball well. They forced the Red Bulls to chase, and they got chances in transition. They didn't pay off. I think going on the road in L.A., I think you're playing a team. I think you shouldn't underestimate them because, you know, I think that when you're wounded, I think they're going to come out. I think there's a lot riding in this game, but it's a great opportunity for the Fire now to go there with a lot of confidence. You're playing a team that's been struggling, especially defensively. They give up a lot of opportunities, and the Fire have a lot of quality in that final third. I think that can punish them.
And where is the room for growth with this team? When you look at where the Chicago Fire have struggled in the past couple years, it's been road performances. They haven't been able to take advantage of games on the road and get wins. It's a bonus in this league, but it's an important bonus. It's how you get into the playoffs. You steal points. You know, you go into a road game that you have no business winning and you get 3 points. You do what you can to get points on the road in this league, and that puts you over the top. And so these are the moments where you look for that growth from the Fire. You say, okay, Toronto maybe didn't go the way you want. New York, you build on that with a positive performance. And now at the end of a 3-game road swing, can you go on the road to a difficult place and take advantage of an opponent that clearly is still trying to figure out their own issues?
Well, and you also talk about a positive, approach. Things worked out. They had the numerous opportunities, and you got to remember too, they're learning how to play with Dax and Janino, and now Bastian Schweinsteiger in the middle. And as it goes, week in, week out, they're getting better, it appears. And there was a good game against New York, and now to see if they can take it to L.A.
Yeah, for sure. I think with all these players, I think it's going to take some time, for them to adjust. And I think you still seeing a guy like Juninho, trying to really, find his place with the rest of the guys in the middle. He's a very good player. I don't think you've seen the best from him yet, but I think with every game, there's going to be moments where there's going to be throughout the season that you look at the last game, and I think there are moments that you need to correct. I think for me, this probably was one of the better performances that I have seen from the team this season from a tactical standpoint. I think they were very disciplined, very organized. I think the game plan was very good, and then I think the opportunities were there. And again, when you don't put your chances away, I think the two chances that the Red Bulls created, they punish you.
Right.
And I think, those are learning lessons, but I think the games in New York have been close, even the game, last year. So I think this is a great opportunity that you can take the confidence, what you learned from the last match, and then apply it to this one. So I think it's a great moment for the Fire to go there and get the 3 points.
The Fire will see if they can build on that confidence that they gained as they take on the LA Galaxy this coming Saturday. A 9 o'clock pregame with Dan Kelly and Frank Lopez, 9:30 with the kick. And don't forget, the Fire return home Saturday, May 13th at 8 o'clock start at Toyota Park. Get your tickets at chicago-fire.com/tickets. We come back, we'll talk about some of the things the Fire did during the course of the week. More than just practice for this team. They were out and about. We'll talk about it when we come back. You're watching Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank.
Heineken tastes perfect every single time, and that doesn't happen by accident. It takes 15 years to become a Heineken brewmaster, almost as long as it took me to master this look.
She came to meet a man. She found an angel. Cuckoo, ba-da-ba-chicka. What's his name now? Cuckoo, ba-da-ba-chicka.
Still practicing. It takes 15 years to become a Heineken brewmaster. There's more behind the star.
The heat will wear you out real quick. And we've been through some hot ones. It's very physical. You gotta take care of your body and stay hydrated because every moment matters. That's why I drink Advocare Rehydrate. I've got a job to do.
John, you're home.
What's going on?
It's this paint, Valspar Reserve. Nothing stays on the wall. Not anything. Not any of these things, John.
Right, Valspar Reserve. Super stain resistant and scrubbable.
And this color, still perfect.
Yeah, looks great, Val. How much coffee have you had?
3 cups. 4.
Valspar Reserve Paint and Primer with Hydrochroma technology. Now the colors you love stay the colors you love. Exclusively at Lowe's.
Welcome back in Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank. Fred Hubner, along with Frank Lopez, Paul Tenorio, and the Chicago Fire guys. Not only do they play soccer, but a couple of them are trying to learn to play some baseball this week.
They did a great job. I saw Bastian throw out the first pitch. He actually did a great job. At one point, I thought he might have maybe tried to kick the ball there, but he had a good throw.
Yeah, I didn't want him to get injured. We have some film from the action as in practice this week out at Toyota Park. Dax McCarty was trying to help out as McCarty got down in the crouching position and tried to help out the big German as he was throwing baseballs for the first time. And
well, I'll tell you what. I mean, Dax kind of has the perfect size for a catcher. A little bit of Pudge Rodriguez, maybe not as thick, but height-wise, right around that level.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And Basti out there signing autographs at Wrigley Field on Tuesday night. It was better Tuesday than Monday. Monday they had a lengthy rain delay. There you see Cubs Park and the players all lining up, taking some pictures with some of the fans. Basti getting his first chance to throw on the Cub jersey. There you see Drew Connor also there. Janino was out there.
Hey, Cow, that's like a long name. It's easy just to put, like, if he was Brazilian, they'd just call him Basti. That's it, So much easier.
It took him a while, I'm sure, to get Schweinsteiger on the jersey. There you see him with his wife.
Well, it's good to see, though, also the Fire players out enjoying the Chicago sports scene beyond just soccer. I mean, it's a great, great sports city. It's one of my favorite parts about living here.
Well, they pointed him to the right direction in the pitcher's mound. And then Dax said that Basti actually took the easy way out.
Yeah, I think he was debating between trying to throw a real fastball in there and just making sure it got over the plate accurately, and he went the easy route. I don't blame him. A lot of people watching.
Yeah, and then they were all watching here the 7th inning stretch, and they were singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and Basti had some help. Drew Connor was as excited as he could possibly be.
Drew was great. He started it off, the local kid here, so he was excited to be there.
Frank, you had a chance to do that, huh?
Well, I did that in '98, but it was a little more intimidating. I think Dax said Drew and Basti there to help him out. I had to go up there by myself, and you think nothing of it, and then you go up there. The guy goes, "Have you had any beers?" I said, "No, not yet." He goes, "You should start," and that's what I did.
Well, yeah. What do they call that group that did it? The Dax Street Boys.
Yes.
So maybe they'll add Klopas as the 4th member of the Dax Street Boys. What do you think?
Listen, the bad thing doing it on your own, me singing, forget about it. Turn the volume down. At least with those guys, you can hide. You can hide with.
Yeah, Drew was all into it. He was all into it. And the Chicago Fire, they weren't done for the week as they then last night they had the Soccer in Style fashion show at the Witt Hotel. One of the many, many charitable events the Fire puts on each and every week. And Basti and Drew Connor and also Arturo Alvarez getting a chance to walk the. Walk on with their and Basti, Giorgio Armani, they call him. He was wearing other things, but you can see he's having all kinds of fun.
Well, look, I mean, I think it's good for Basti. I mean, his wife Anna Ivanovic is usually one doing the modeling stuff, right? So Basti gets a chance to spin around and live up to that Giorgio Armani nickname.
She probably gave him some tips how to walk out there.
He seems to be a little bit of a ham. He's enjoying each and every minute.
It looks like she was enjoying it. She's going to hold that against him for a while, I'm thinking.
Yeah, there's no doubt. So it's nice to see the Fire out and about as they are, I'm surprised I didn't see even more pictures of some of the players walking. There you see Arturo Alvarez, the beautiful spot at the Witt, a Soccer in Style, an annual event. Drew Connor.
The young guys always think they look better than they do. I mean, I don't know what he's doing here. It's a DJ move, I think. That's just youthful and experience there.
Yeah.
You know who I think they were missing? Last year I thought Joey Calistri did a great job strutting his stuff. He's on loan. You know, maybe he was doing a little bit of
Paul always with the Northwestern guys.
Hey,
there you go. Giving them
Cats,
props.
Man.
Yeah. Come on, what's going?
Of course, you know,
there we go.
The Northwestern guys, we're not just smart, man. We're good looking too, all right?
Yeah. So he wasn't around, but they had to settle for Basti and Drew Connor and some of the others. So the Chicago Fire charities, each and every year, all of the events they put on, the soccer in style last night, a nice crowd. They raised more than $20,000 for Chicago Fire charities. Don't forget the Chicago Fire back in action this coming Saturday as they take on the LA Galaxy, a 9:30 start. 9 o'clock with the pregame on CSN. Frank Lopez and Dan Kelly. Dan Kelly's already out in California. He's taking pictures and sending them to
He's
everybody.
stretching already. He's got the yoga classes. He had to go out early just to make sure to see
extra yogas,
how far the classes are.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And don't forget the next Chicago Fire home game. It will be on May 13th as they take on Seattle, the Seattle Sounders, Clint Dempsey, Jordan Morris and company at Toyota Park, an 8 o'clock start on the 13th. We come back, we'll be joined by Chicago Fire assistant coach Eric Gehrig right here on Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank.
Beautiful Wolf Lake Park in Hammond, Indiana plays host to Chicagoland's most exciting amateur triathlon, Leon's world's fastest triathlon, America's Race, offering a weekend full of excitement and outstanding competition, dedicated first and foremost to honoring America's servicemen and women and our veterans. America's Race, presented by RAM, America's Truck, Sunday, June 4th. Visit leonstriathlon.com.
Hello? This is she.
Is that the doctor?
Okay, wow, really? It's two? That's great news, thank you.
It's two?
Yes, it's two. It's 2-for-1 windows at Feldco.
Feldco is offering 2 windows for the price of 1, with no money down and no interest for 1 year.
2 windows for the price of 1 ends soon. Hurry. Call now.
For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866 for Feldco.
Mariah Haberman here from Discover Wisconsin. Join me and the rest of the DW crew every week on this station for all things Wisconsin. Find us on social media right now for gorgeous photos and great Wisconsin giveaways. Speaking of free stuff, did you know every month we give away an exciting vacation? This month you can win a prize package to Oconto County. Just visit discoverwisconsin.com for details. Saturday mornings at 10 on Comcast Sportsnet.
Anything that can happen will happen. Anything that can happen did happen.
What's next?
What's next?
What's next?
Welcome back, Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank. Fred Hubner, along with Paul Tenorio, Frank Lopez, and Chicago Fire assistant coach Eric Gehrig joining us. Also, but don't forget the 2015 Fire Defender of the Year. So we can't forget that one.
Wow, Fred, that's a heck of an intro.
Hold that one out.
Now we're talking.
Did some research
I'm ready.
on that today.
I'm ready now.
So how are things? Everything's going well. You left the playing field and now you're on the sidelines.
Yeah, it's been good. I was just telling Frank, it's been a good transition, better than I thought. Everyone wants to play, forever, but I realize how much of an amazing opportunity this is, and I was telling him I could retire in a year, 2, 3 years. I just don't know if I would have the opportunity of this magnitude to jump in and join a staff in my hometown. So I'm excited. It's going good.
What's been, what was the toughest transition early on? Because I remember talking to you, and I come out, you're at the fire pitch, and you're wearing coaching gear, and you're out there, and I can tell you get a few touches in where you can. Was it weird in those early goings to get used to being the coach versus being a player?
Yeah, I think the weirdest day was for sure the first day. And to answer your question, I think the thing that's most different is just the competitive juices and getting that fix. I kind of get my fix on the side with workouts and running, but after that I'm good. And ever since then, it's been relatively smooth sailing. I have a lot to learn and a long way to go in the coaching realm, but I'm learning from Pano and Marco and Sarke. I feel like I'm really lucky. They're younger guys, and there's a lot to learn. So
No, it's great, I think, for me, because we were talking earlier, because I kind of remember a similar situation with myself when I stopped. But I was going to ask you, now that you're the coach and then you're there from morning till 5, 6 in the afternoon, how much nicer was it when you're a player? You just come and you train a couple hours and you say, see you guys later.
Yeah, you definitely take it for granted a little bit, I guess. But not too different on the schedule, but definitely easier when you're a player. You can get in and get out. But I'm there to help the players and whatever I got to do.
Your situation, because I mean, a lot of guys on the team were there when you were playing.
Yeah.
How that transition? How has that been? How have you handled that?
Yeah, it's a unique situation, but I also think it's a good thing. I think I know a lot of the players. I know, what they like, what they don't like. At the same time, I know what Pana likes and what he doesn't like. So I feel like it's a good bridge from the locker room to the coaching staff, and from the coaching staff to the locker room, and it's kind of where I'm, kind of fitting in. And again, I played in the MLS for 6 years, and so I feel like I know what the guys need and want, and I think it's a good position for me.
And you talk about getting that competitiveness back. One advantage of being on the sideline is I get a chance to be close to the coaching staffs. Assistant coaches, man, they play a good role. Sometimes you got to chirp back and forth at the benches. You got to make sure you make your points in the game. How about that transition? When do you know when to speak up, when to say something? Maybe you look over at the other bench and you let them know what you're thinking.
Yeah, that's a good point. This past weekend, I had the competitive juices going. I was ready to run out there on the field, but I realized I couldn't do that. And I've had a couple good conversations with the other bench, But I still fit in when I can.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it interesting where when you were playing with guys, you may have seen something and maybe not been able to critique them or tell them where to go or what to do, even though you never really seemed to have a problem with that when you were playing in the center back position. But now it's different. Now you're a coach. Now your job is to point out when they make those kind of mistakes.
Yeah, like you said, I think I was always the type of player that helped players on the field, whether they were next to me or on my team. But now, like you said, that I'm a coach, I feel like I have a good grasp of when's the right time to press on the gas pedal and maybe get on guys a little bit. But I also feel like I know when, hey, he's a little sensitive right now. He's had a few bad plays. Stay off him a little bit. So I feel like I have a good understanding of when to get on a guy, when to say something versus when to just let him be, and when he's going to fix it on himself. So. Again, I'm frank and tell you, when you're a player, in those certain situations where you're uncomfortable and you're lacking a little bit of confidence and you need just a little bit of space, but you also need those time where a little kick in the butt. And I feel like I have a good relationship with not only the guys that I know from last year, but also the new guys.
Eric, when we were talking before the show, one interesting aspect, a lot of players go from playing straight into coaching. And even guys who have histories. I think of Ben Olsen, who was a big part of DC United going up. Now he's coaching that team. There's a huge connection there. But your connection goes even beyond the fact that you played for this franchise. You grew up going to the games. You were telling Frank you were in the stands when he scored in the U.S. Open Cup final against Columbus. You were a season ticket holder. What does it mean to you to have gone through that entire process of fan to player to coach for your hometown team?
Yeah, it's crazy. I always tell people I never thought I would ever play professional soccer in general, and then the day I get traded to the Chicago Fire, which is crazy because I never thought I'd play for Chicago Fire, and then this opportunity arose, and it's just another check on the list of dreams per se. I realize, number one, the magnitude of coaching the MLS and how special an opportunity it is, but I also realize how special it is to still represent this amazing city and the fans and the club, and how many past great coaches have been through this club, players, and it's a story that I don't want ever to end, and hopefully this is just not the beginning, but maybe the middle of the writing, because maybe my playing was the beginning. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes.
So you work with a set group. You work with just the backliners. You work with the backliners and the midfield. What exactly do you do on a daily basis?
Well, I don't tell Nico or Schweini what to do in the attacking half. I'll tell you that. But me being a defender, I feel like obviously that part of the field is more where I know my way around. Mm-hmm. Our staff is great that we don't really designate anyone in certain areas. We kind of all chip in. So the coaches give me freedom to voice my opinion all over the field. But again, back to my first point, I kind of keep it towards the back half of the field. Of course, if I see something in the attacking half that's maybe glaring, and just very politely tell Nico, hey, But again,
well, I do know that your first goal in college was off a PK. So if anybody misses a PK, you can always assistant.
Yeah, I guess, Fred. Actually, I don't think I'm really that good at PKs, but
But what was your first one? We come back, we'll talk a little bit more with Eric Gehrig as the Chicago Fire get ready to take on the LA Galaxy this weekend as they wrap up the 3-game road trip. A 9:30 start in LA, 9 o'clock the pregame on CSN. You're watching Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank.
We don't give up. We don't quit. We keep going. Day in, day out. We fight on. Why? Because we are champions. Be a champion.
Don't let pain knock you out of the ring. Our hand, wrist, and elbow experts are pioneers worldwide. You need us in your corner. Midwest Orthopedics at Rush. Make an appointment today. After our minimally invasive spine surgery, 80% of golfers maintained or improved their handicap. Be treated by the pros to play more like a pro. Midwest Orthopedics at Rush. Make an appointment today.
Welcome back in. Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank, the official bank of your Chicago Fire. As we are each and every week, we are live at Heineken Pub 97, as you can tell by the beverages in front of us. And some of us are drinking a little more than others.
Listen, Gehrig over here,
Traffic.
He's making me drink before the show, but now he's on air. He's slowing down a little bit.
this is still repercussions from traffic.
Well, we'll talk about that too. You look at it. We've talked earlier in the first segment that in New York, everything seemed to work well except the outcome. A couple of chances that weren't converted. How did the coaching staff and the players feel about the outing?
Yeah, that was one of those games, Fred, where we walked away and it wasn't one of those head scratchers where we were really, wondering, what went wrong or, we're really far off. That was one of the games where after I really felt not hurt, but real sour taste in my mouth because I think, as you guys mentioned earlier in the broadcast, the tactics, the game plan, the effort, the performance from the players was fantastic. It was a real dogfight in there, and I think that, whether he might admit it or not, I think if you ask Jesse Marsh, they got all they could handle, and like you said, just execution in there at the end, then that's the difference in the game. And we have a few chances to score, they go down and score, and that's it. I think we put away our chances. We might have been walking away with 3 points.
Well, when you talk about a game like that, where everything you ask of the players is executed except for that finishing touch, that's soccer. That happens sometimes. How does that affect your messaging now going into LA? What is the message to the team on this last game of a 3-game road trip?
I think we feel good. I mean, look, we've lost the last 2 road games. I think last game we should have gotten more than we had. These are also 3 very good teams, and like I said before, we didn't walk away thinking we were that far. We were 1 or 2 moments of concentration and execution in the final third from getting a big 3 points in Red Bull. They haven't lost in a long time, like you said. And, the final message is this is our last game on the road, another great opportunity. LA's obviously a great club. This is a lot of good players in this team, but they're not feeling great about themselves right now. And, I think we feel good about what we're doing. We feel like we're moving in the right direction, and it's another opportunity for us.
Fantastic. No, I mean, going back to the coaching stuff, I know we've been talking about. Do you see this for yourself, like long term? Is this something like to make a career out of it? You're going to stick with this? I know you had an opportunity to get into it and you didn't want to pass it up, but do you see yourself Like one day, yes, maybe I can be the coach.
Yeah,
of
I
the
mean,
Fire. Why not?
That would be amazing, number one. Number two, you never know how things are until you get on the inside. And up until, just January, I was still my mindset was all about playing, And one thing I for sure know is I love sports and I love the game of soccer. And being on the inside now, it's pretty cool seeing, Pano's his schedule every day, the decisions he makes, just the different tactics, the different ideas, and I think now it's just opened my eyes to honestly a huge new scope of life and opportunity. I think if I could get to head coach for Chicago Fire, Frank, that would be amazing.
No, it's a great start to get in. But has that changed being on that side now as a coach? Has it changed the way your philosophy, the way you look at a player? Do you look at other things right now that are more important? Has anything changed in a short time, the way you view players?
Yeah, I think I've learned so much. I've only been in it now 2, 3, 4 months, and I think I've learned so much, Frank, just from looking at players, just from looking at what makes a good player versus, I don't want to say makes a bad player, but things that make players elite and make teams elite. And I think the more I learn, the more I talk to people like yourself or Pano or just other coaches around the league, study coaches across the pond, the Mourinhos, the Peps, just their different styles, I think the more interested and invested I get. And like I said before, it opened my eyes to, a new realm of what could be, I guess.
Well, you guys have both gone through this process, but I would imagine that there were probably moments you look back on in your career, whether it was in Columbus with Greg Berhalter or here in Chicago, and maybe you understand a little bit more what the coach was thinking or saying, that the translation wasn't there as a player because you're thinking like a player. Now that you're in the shoes of a coach, has it added that perspective where you can look back on your career and see certain moments and why they did what they did?
That's a good point, Paul. Because I've actually thought about that, a lot up until now. I think when you're a player, there's just so much that goes into it, whether it's the pressure of the game, the days before the game, the training. There's a lot that goes into it, and a lot of times, like you said, you just don't think about maybe just what the coach's type of thinking is. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like
you kind of get that big picture versus small picture.
Exactly. Sorry. Exactly. Like what I wish you kind of look back and you kind of wish I would have thought this way or would have done this thing, and now I see why he said that, or. You know what I'm saying? So, yes,
but,
to answer
that's life, right? You learn those moments. Frank, you probably went through the same thing.
I learned a lot of moments. I think that's the thing. I think you mature. But the one thing is that, I think to Paul's point, is that one thing as a player when you had other coaches, and now you're on the other side, you said, you know what, if I ever get that moment to be on the other side, I would have done this different or I would have done this different. If there's one thing, what can you point to one thing and say, is it communication? Is it having the tough talks? What is it one thing that
I wouldn't say it's one thing. There's definitely moments where I wish I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have done this. But like you said, it's a part of growing. It's a part of being a player. And at the end of the day, let's face it, the guys that can do those things at that early, those are the best players in the world. Those are the best players. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I don't have any. So
no, I mean, I think, it's funny just listening to you on the early side of things and having gotten to know Frank, and he'll tell you this when we go off air because we're coming close here, but it's going to keep going on. I mean, Frank looks back on seasons and moments in Montreal or in Chicago before that he learned from, and that, having a chance to sit back now, he takes a different perspective from. So, keep embracing it, enjoying it. We're loving watching you go through the transition, man.
Yeah, that's a good word, embracing it. I always tell people it's new for me, but I'm all in, and I love soccer. I love the city. I love the guys. Love the group. Love the club, and I'm all in and kind of learning as I go. So far, so good.
Head on out to LA. Bring home 3 points. That'd be fun.
That would be fantastic.
That'd be really nice.
Beautiful.
Eric Gehrig, Chicago Fire assistant coach, as he was nice enough to join us. Don't forget, this coming Saturday, it'll be a 9:30 kick. You can do all your stuff all day long, then sit in front of the TV or hop a plane with Frank Lopez out to LA, either one. 9:30 kick in Los Angeles as Chicago Fire take on the LA Galaxy. A 9 o'clock pregame on CSN, and the Chicago Fire return home coming up on May 13th. The Seattle Sounders in town. Get your tickets at chicago-fire.com. It's Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank.
Benny, where are you? Benny?
great haircut sale is back at Great Clips. A price so low, everyone will go. Great Clips. It's going to be great.
Welcome to Elk Grove Village. Our growing industrial park is the largest in North America. It makes sense. We're close to O'Hare, major highways, and rail lines, putting us first class in business class. We appreciate that a strong business park means a high quality of life for village residents. It's what motivates us to be beyond business friendly. Elk Grove Village. Makers wanted.
Now batting for the White Sox, center fielder number 34, Michael Bennett.
At point guard for the Chicago Bulls, number 6, Shannon Kelly.
At the Bulls Sox Academy, we give each kid one mission. Dream it, train it, be it.
It's obvious they were meant for each other. Always side by side, but never together. Forever trapped in the friend zone. Until finally, they got together at Taco Bell.
Check it out.
I'm talking about the taco and burrito. Double the seasoned beef, fresh lettuce and tomatoes, shredded cheese, and crunchy chips. The new loaded taco burrito, just $1.49, only at Taco Bell.
Welcome back in. It's time for Fire Field Vision, powered by NovaCare. Each and every week we take a look at some of the good, some of the bad, some things that the team can work on, some things that they've excelled at in previous games. The Chicago Fire coming off a 2-1 loss in New York. They get ready to take on the LA Galaxy in Los Angeles, a 9:30 start, the third of their 3 road games. And I know you talked a lot about it. We talked about coming away with points. You had said 3 points on the road. That means a win this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, however you get it done. I think you look at a 3-game road trip against 3 very good teams.
Mm-hmm.
I thought 3 points or even 2 points would have been a positive for any team in MLS, really.
Right.
It's just so difficult to go on the road. But yeah, it does put a little bit more pressure on this last game of the road trip because you want to get a reward out of it. You want to get a reward out of positive performances. You know, like Eric was saying, they played well in New York. You know, there was no question about that. You don't get a point out of it, so it's a little bit of disappointment. So now you've got to cash in LA. Another difficult place to play, even though they've been struggling. This is a team with a lot of history, and they're in a little bit of a panic mode. So you got to go and get 3 points here to feel good coming out of that 3-game road trip because you're coming home, but you're coming home to Seattle.
Sure.
So it's a big game.
Let's take a look at some of the good things and the bad things that happened this past weekend in New York, Frank.
No, obviously a lot of good things, and we talked about transition and their ability to break that pressure, and this was a great sequence here with McCarty to Akam, good run by Nikolic, and just a great little cut there. He cuts inside, little fake, and then great opportunity. It was a great save by Robles there because it was a quick little toe poke. And then again, obvious here, this is a Akam's game that, you know, I think has excelled. His ability to play those early balls, and then just a great run here by Soliniak. Handball on the slide, but for me, when that play develops, he's looking at the assistant referee, it's down, he's got to go quicker to goal.
Well, here you see the first goal for the Red Bulls, and we'll talk about the movement here. Pause it here. You look at now, you've got Michael Harrington, he's sliding up, he's ball watching now, okay? I don't understand, he's going to take a step towards the ball. There's no reason to do it. But, Frank, you saw something else here.
I just felt like Soliniak is in a good position, lower block defending. He's got to come inside and get a little bit more closer to too much space there. And I think he can be in a position where he can help that pass coming into the gap there.
And really, that's all about communication there. And you see here a really nicely done quick restart by Lucho Soliniak. Nemanja Nikolic, get your head up. Right now, one-time pass to David Akam, and this is a goal. It shouldn't be that difficult here. It's just about quick thinking and understanding you have a very, very fast teammate in David Akam who can finish. Get your head up. He doesn't. He takes a touch the wrong way, and it leads to an easy save. That should have been a goal.
Doesn't play the early, and even the second touch takes him away from goal. But here, again, we talk about the
hard work here by Dax. Look, he's not known for dribbling, but he does well to step in. And like you said, Nikolic, he's not going to miss goals from that distance, Frank.
No. Fantastic in the box. And going back to Akam, and this is, I think, part of his game that really has evolved. He cuts inside, and right away he picks that great movement and run by Soliniak there, finds him in the back post, and just so close. You know, those were the opportunities, you know. I mean, and we talk about just as the last goal, team shape in a low block. You see first 1-1, we're talking about Soliniak just ball watching, but then number 2 is Harrington there, where I feel he's in a better position to recognize where's the danger. He doesn't need to step into the space there because there's players around. You know, I think he moves in too early, which leaves that gap behind for that ball to be played to Lawrence. The ball comes through, I think, and Lawrence is there. Soliniak does well, but I think also that Bava's got to react a little bit better to that one.
Yeah, I mean, there are multiple breakdowns on that goal, like you said, Frank, and it's a simple solution, I think. There's got to be better communication there between Soliniak and Harrington and Kappelhoff. If you're Michael Harrington, there's no reason to step into that space. You talk to your center back, Kappelhoff, make sure he steps so that you can stay in the dangerous space. But also, like you said, Soliniak got caught ball watching, didn't track his man. So multiple breakdowns. And then, again, I agree with you. You know, maybe you ask for your goalkeeper to do a little bit more there at the end.
Yeah.
I think the very encouraging thing, and you guys both brought it up, is what we've seen from David Accam. Because in the last couple of years when David Accam didn't have help, he would get the ball and he would run towards the goal and try to score. Now he does have that, and it's taken a little while, but he's looking for people. He's finding Nikolic, he's finding Lucho, he's finding other guys to get the ball to, and that's going to pay off in the end.
Listen, his movement in space has been great, and now he has players around him, where it's Basti, where it's Zunino, where it's Dax behind him. You know, I think that he's moving into space, and if the space is there, you have guys that can find you. But now when he gets the ball, you know, and then he gets attention, 1 or 2 players, getting his head up and making passes like that is going to open up more space for him.
Yeah, we picked, I think, 5 or 6 clips here. We had a couple more, and I think 2 of the clips that we ended up not showing were David Accam getting his head up and playing a good ball. At one point, he's in the breakaway. He realizes he has no one with him, and he slows down, waits for the run, cuts into his right foot, and drops that nice little ball into the box. That's the maturation of David Accam, and an understanding that he has teammates around him who can score. That's important. I think the next step is those teammates also need to recognize that if you play the ball into space for David, he's going to be able to take advantage of it for the most part. So getting them to look up a little bit early and recognizing that's important as well.
Yeah, and the positive thing, Fred, I think, and Paul, for me, is that the improvement of the team, you know, from every game. I think this was a solid performance against a very good team. They totally disrupted the rhythm of play for the Red Bulls. You know, they forced them a lot of times to play long balls. They were ready for that. They were able to win second balls. They were able to hit them in transition with the space that there was open there. The movement was good. They created enough chances. We saw. I mean, we showed 4 or 5 chances, but there were even more. So I think that the results are going to come.
Next opportunity for those results to come would be this coming Saturday. The Chicago Fire taking on the LA Galaxy, a 9:30 start. You can catch it on CSN, the pregame show with Dan Kelly and Frank Lopez at 9 o'clock. And the month of May is Stroke Awareness Month. The Fire teaming up with their partner UI Health to educate the community on stroke prevention and response. The Fire's next home match is against the defending MLS Cup champions, Seattle, on Saturday, May 13th at 8 p.m. Be at Toyota Park when the Fire hosts Clint Dempsey and the Sounders for Stroke Awareness Night, presented by UI Health. For tickets, visit chicago-fire.com. Do it today. We come back, we'll take a look at the LA Galaxy, what problems they pose, and how the Chicago Fire may be able to take advantage of them this Saturday. You're watching Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank.
What's more powerful than the winds of a Cat 5 hurricane? An Echo backpack blower. So, yeah, it'll clear a path. Power on and on.
John, you're home.
What's going on?
It's this paint, Valspar Reserve. Nothing stays on the wall. Not anything. Not any of these things, John.
Right, Valspar Reserve. Super stain resistant and scrubbable.
And this color, still perfect.
Yeah, looks great, Val. How much coffee have you had?
3 cups. 4.
Valspar Reserve Paint and Primer with Hydrochroma technology. Now the colors you love stay the colors you love. Exclusively at Lowe's.
Find a location near you at chicago-fire.com/youth.
NovaCare Rehabilitation knows the importance of an active lifestyle. If you're injured, we bring that back to you. NovaCare is the exclusive provider of physical therapy and athletic training services to the Chicago Fire Soccer Club. With 32 convenient Chicago area locations, NovaCare provides unmatched clinical expertise and customer service. For a center near you, or to request an appointment, visit novacare.com or call 800-770-6682. NovaCare, the power of physical therapy.
The blades of a combat chopper spin at 380 RPMs. Not even close to an Echo trimmer. Now that's shock and awe. Power on and on.
Welcome back to Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank. It's time for the Valspar Primer, presented by Valspar, the official paint of your Chicago Fire. Fire preparing to take on the LA Galaxy this weekend, and a little bit of a homecoming for Chicago Fire midfielder Juninho. He talked about going back on out to Los Angeles.
Yeah, I think all my career was built on the side of that conference. I have a lot of good things about LA. I was gonna have LA in my heart. But now it's totally a different situation where I have to defend the Chicago Fire into the end. That's what we're gonna do. For sure, it's gonna be an emotional game for myself, but with my teammates and good attitude, we're gonna go there and get the points.
So last week we had the Red Bulls, and you had Dax McCarty going back on out to where he had played. Now you have Juninho going back out to Los Angeles, where he played quite a bit.
Well, let's have another good performance on the road. And I'm just saying, I think the positive results will come on the road, because at home the Fire have been very good.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I made the right choice of captaining Dax McCarty on my fantasy team, going back to New York. Paid off big time. Got a big win. So
yeah, very, very nice, and we'll see if Juninho can do something similar. The LA Galaxy, the opponent, 2-5-1, and guys, many issues with this LA Galaxy team.
I mean, very poor start, and I mean, especially at home. I mean, out of the 5 games that they played, I mean, they got 4 points out of that one. They've struggled, and we can go into the clips right here, and most of them against the Seattle match, and just very poor defensively. They gave a lot of space out in this left-hand channel with Jones and Morris who were out there. Very simple, combination play, not tracking the runners. And then obviously you get to see the early goal there.
Here's one thing that you can take advantage of when you're playing the Galaxy. Jelle Van Damme, he loves to press high, okay? He likes to wander all over the place. He's Franz Beckenbauer. Look how high he is on the field. Now look at these 3 runs that are available if you're playing against him. Play it into those lanes, either the striker near, you can switch all the way to the far side, but those are the runs you want to be making when Jelle Van Damme steps up. Now you're 3v2, and that's the ball that you're looking for, the killer ball. And we see here again the combination play down the left side. Alessandrini, look how poor he does to close out, just jogging, forces the right back to suck inside. Jovan Jones overlaps, an easy finish.
And again, I mean, especially if Alessandrini is Dos Santos, they play, and they don't track. You can just see number 1, Dos Santos ball watching. Cole comes in with the midfielder, and Van Damme bites very hard. So you can just see if the space for the outside back now to get forward. Great combination play here by Seattle. Tons of space. And then obviously very slow on their recovery runs. And then just Seattle puts this game out of hand. The third goal, it could have easily been 6.
And I thought that circle at the end of that last highlight was important, because it's not just about recognition of the defensive problems in LA. You can't just see that he's stepping in and you play that ball. The right backs have to understand, the left back has to understand, you can get forward and take advantage of the fact that Giovanni Dos Santos doesn't track, that Alessandrini doesn't track. You have to get forward and overlap. I'm not sure that they're going to start Gio on the outside because they've had so many problems. Yeah. It could be Zardes, who does a very good job tracking. But if you recognize those moments to get forward, when Van Damme has stepped too high, you have an opportunity to get out in transition.
Paul, the last clips, we showed 2 clips of 2 clips, because Harrington, comes in centrally,
right,
and then Soloniek could come inside, and then you have a defender of the year, the experience of this guy Van Damme, basically in the back reading a situation where he sees Cole is all the way in, Dos Santos out wide. He's going to track. There's no reason for him, to take the risk to come and give all that space behind. So mistakes are made even from the best of the players. But I agree with Paul. I think even in that Seattle game, they started only with Jones and Pedro in the middle. They got overrun. They made the change. They brought Husidic in, helped them a little bit centrally, but then what happened? They got killed out wide because Dos Santos didn't track back, Alessandrini didn't track back, and then Jones on that side with Morris, destroyed him on the left-hand side, and obviously we saw that goal, the third goal on the right-hand side here.
And I think they'll make the change permanently and go to that 4-2-3-1 versus the 4-4-2 they were playing because of the problems they had in midfield. They were being overrun. But I think the opportunities are still going to be there, especially down that same left-hand channel where Alessandrini plays. You've got Brandon Vincent, who's been much more confident going forward. You've got David Accam and his pace that's already going to cause problems 1v1. And we've seen how Bastian Schweinsteiger likes to float out to that left side to combine. And he is going to be the guy that's pulling Van Damme out of that natural spot. And let me tell you something. When he feels that pressure, he's such a smart player. He's going to know to look for those runs in behind. So to me, that left-hand channel is going to be key for the Fire in this game.
I agree with you. I think they're going to play with three in the middle. I think the Zardes is going to come out wide, and then they're going to put Gio as a false, number 9, coming centrally to look to combine, and then Zardes, obviously, with his pace, who is a lot better when he can see the field. Not as good with back to goal. If you give him space and he's playing on top, he's got the pace in transition, but out wide he's going to track defensively. And then when Gio drops in centrally to be an extra guy in the midfield, he can make those diagonal runs and use his space to get behind where you can see everything.
Well, we talked about the negatives of the Galaxy here, and it's easy to look at that and say, oh, this is a very winnable game. Let's not forget, Zardes, Giovanni Dos Santos, Alessandrini. These guys can punish you in the final third when they're given space. The one thing Alessandrini has done very well in his time in MLS is score goals. Gio Dos Santos hasn't gotten going yet, but he had 14 goals last year. We know Zardes and what he's capable of. So this is still a very dangerous team. Organization defensively is going to be very important for the Chicago Fire in LA.
The other thing I was going to say is that set pieces for the Fire are key when they have offensive set pieces, because I think they do a poor job marking. They man mark, and then they lose their guys constantly. So it's an opportunity to take advantage of those moments in the game.
Some things to keep an eye on this weekend. A Saturday, a 9:30 kick. Game you can catch on CSN, 9 o'clock pregame with Dan Kelly and Frank Lopez. We come back, we'll take a look around the league of Major League Soccer, a couple of midweek games. We'll talk about those and much, much more. You're watching Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank.
You're invited to the James & Sons Fine Jewelers All Tacori Tax-Back Weekend. See the entire bridal and fashion collections by Tacori. Choose from hundreds of loose diamonds priced at wholesale or below. And save $500 on a diamond with the purchase of a Tacori engagement ring with 15 months interest-free financing. Plus, it's a tax-back weekend. Receive a James & Sons gift certificate equal to the value of your sales tax. Don't miss the All Tacori Tax-Back Weekend and Diamond Expo this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at James & Sons in Orland Park and Cherville.
Relay for life, because there's so much to live for. Help the American Cancer Society finish the fight. Walk, join, donate now to save lives at relay.org.
Sawyer, you're in.
Me?
Yeah, playing shortstop. Hey, ball.
With more selection and savings, you get more brushes with glory at Meijer.
Our way is different from the rest. We believe together. We dream together. We live together. No matter the odds, the obstacles, we will thrive. We will overcome, and we will rise. We know how to win, and we've tasted success. We are more than fans. We are timeless.
Welcome back to Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank. Fred Hubner, Paul Tenorio, Frank Lopez.
Hey, don't forget about Mini Frank Lopez. Somebody brought Mini Frank Lopez here. Let's see what's it. He's got dark hair. He's got dark hair still. And look, the quads of thunder, Frank, man. quads of thunder on this little guy. Look at this guy.
That
Look
was
at
my
that dark hair, man.
home-warming gift to Paul from me.
Yeah, exactly. Housewarming. Look at that. Look at that dark hair. I love it. Love it, Frank.
That was
Glory
it back
days.
in the day. Back
Glory
in the day
days.
with those Kansas City Wiz jerseys and uniforms. Last night, a couple of midweek games as the TFC and Orlando went at it, and Javinko, unstoppable, 2 more goals yesterday.
Listen, the guy is a type of striker where he just needs the confidence. The goals weren't going in early. A lot of forwards are like this. Sure, Frank was like this. You need that first goal.
No, but what a touch. That first touch, just to bring it down, his first touch is incredible, world class.
And I love this little pass here from Vasquez. I mean, don't underrate that. Carlos Rivas, again, setting up a goal, set piece. Kaká, nice and easy, header down from Kyle Larin. Absolutely simple to do, but not enough. And, I'll tell you what, Kyle Larin had a couple big chances, didn't finish them, learned some tough lessons in that game. I think the one where he got up and thought he was going to walk the ball into the goal.
Yeah.
Not at this level, son. Get up and make sure you put that in the net.
Put the ball in the net.
Yeah, there's
Put
no
the
doubt.
ball
One
in
other
the net,
game
my
last
friend.
night, SKC, Sporting Kansas City, knocking off the New York Red Bulls last night. And when Sporting Kansas City wins, it's usually because of Dom Dwyer, and it was again last night.
It's amazing. He's so alert, around the box. Any little loose ball, he's right, anticipates really well.
It's all about positioning with some strikers, and I think Dom is the beneficiary of a lot of work that they've done in Kansas City to get the right pieces in place. And I think don't underrate Ilie Sanchez that they brought in from the Barcelona system. He comes into that role that Rosell played so well for Peter Vermees. And I think the last couple of years, Vermees has been looking for a guy that can play in that spot in defensive midfield, that controls the game from a deep position and allows other guys to do what they do. He found that guy in Ilie. And I'll tell you what, if you bring up any player, I'm sure, to Peter Vermees, that's number 1 on the list of why they're playing so well right now.
Big game coming up this weekend. Not only the Fire as they take on the LA Galaxy, but they look forward to Seattle. We can scout Seattle as Seattle is hosting TFC on ESPN on Saturday afternoon.
Big game for both teams. I mean, I think Seattle's been playing really well. Toronto is hot right now, 3 straight wins. It's tough for Toronto. You go to that game, you want to get a point. It's very difficult. Seattle, another tough place to play.
I'll take Seattle. For me, in that matchup, at home, Seattle, especially the way I saw them in the match against LA away to get that result. They're playing fantastic right now. It just depends how they play. Are they going to put Bruin back on top with Morris on wide and Dempsey underneath?
You like Jordan Morris on the wing, don't you?
I liked him. I think he's still a guy that I think he's matured. Even when you play him on top, his ability now, good strength with his back. You can play technically, he's good, but then his ability when he goes out wide, with his pace, he gets isolated a lot 1v1 and he's unstoppable.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. So you can catch that on ESPN on Saturday. Gear up. You can scout as the Seattle Sounders are the next home game for the Chicago Fire coming up on May 13th, an 8 o'clock kick. Get your tickets at chicago-fire.com. This coming Saturday, the Fire in LA to play the Galaxy, 9:30 on CSN, the pregame at 9 o'clock. Thanks a lot for watching Chicago Fire Weekly, presented by the Private Bank.